Hey, so I'm going to share with you in this video why a egg basket is costing you sales when it comes to high ticket sales and closing on the phone. So I'm going to run through the whole process of how we do high ticket and also how we onboard people into our own business. And it's a very similar thing. However, there's a few nuances that are different in the way that we do it versus the way that we would teach a client how to do it, just because of like the kind of people that are coming to us, right? So, firstly, what is the basis of a sales call model? So, step one, you want to frame out the call. So when we say frame out call, that means like set the expectations of what to expect on the call. So everyone knows why they're there, what to expect, and then it doesn't come as a surprise when there's a pitch at the end of it, right? And then you want to find out, where do they want to go? So if you don't know where the destination is, you can't find out then what the pain is of what needs to happen next. So think of it like walking into a doctor's office. When you walk into the doctor's office, really what you're doing when you go in there is say, doctor, I want to get rid of this pain, right? So you're telling them where the pain is, and you're also telling them where your destination is, which is, hey, doctor, I've got this rash all over. I'm going on holiday soon. I don't want this rash all over. How do we get rid of it, right? So you're saying about where you want to go. Then you want to find out about where they are right now. So what's the contrast? You're looking for as much contrast as possible between where they want to go and where they are right now. Because when you have that contrast between the two, what that allows you to do is then the pain becomes a pitch, and we'll talk about that in a second. And then you want to find out what's stopping them doing that already. So why have they not already solved that pain? Again, we'll go into that in detail in a sec. And then, do you want our help? So from there, the idea is they want to ask you what are the next steps and move things forward, rather than you kind of just trying to pitch down the throat. I've been on a lot of sales calls where people have like pitched me and they spent like 80% of the time talking. And I'll be honest, like I was on a call with I think it was a potential recruitment company, and I was on that call and I was just checking Slack. I was like, yeah, 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 not interested whatsoever, because they didn't find out anything about me. They just told me 20 minutes of how good they were, which I knew they weren't good because they didn't know how to sell, right? Because they didn't know anything about me. So it's interesting. The less you talk, the more posture you have, and the more you are going to close more sales as well because of it. So when I say the less you talk, that means you're asking the right questions, not like a interrogation, but you're asking the right questions to really uncover what is that pain, where do they want to go, and then what's stopping them getting there. So let's break down the first part. So the first part is that introduction, the framing, right? So on the framing part of it, you're going to tell them how long it is we've got for the call. So this call is scheduled for 45 minutes or whatever that is. Like, here's what we're going to be covering on the call. We're going to find out where you want to go. We're going to see where you are right now, dig into that a little bit more. We're going to see what's stopping you getting there already. And then if it makes sense, then we can talk about working together. But I won't know that until we explore further anyway. So one of the things there, then you remove a level of pressure. Now, not everyone is a good fit. We say no more than we say yes. And you see the difference there, rather than just kind of like, so I think, yeah, we're going to be amazing for you, right? We say no more than we say yes. And if we can help you, great. If we can't, I'll refer you to someone who can help you more. So ultimately, at the end of the call, we want to help you move forward further towards your goal, right? Clarify the decision makers as well. So we want to clarify that the decision makers are on the call. So if we get to the end of this call and something does make sense, is there anyone else that you need to speak to make that decision? Just ask the question early on, right? Okay, great. Are they available now? Can we get them on the call at the moment? Right? All those kind of things. So you either go in with the weight of, yes, that person can come on the call right now, or you give the option potentially to reschedule. Oh, okay, great, when are they available? Or you go in with the expectation knowing that they're not going to be able to make that final decision today. Or the other option is when you get to the end of the call and they say, okay, well, what do you think they would say? And then you can kind of go through some level of dealing with those fears and insecurities at that point. Then get an agreement. So, like, you say all that stuff. It should, by the way, this should take like 20 seconds max. You don't want to be just talking at the person. And then the next part is just getting agreement on that. Okay. So when you get in agreement, you just want to go, okay, sound fair? And they're like, yeah, sounds good to me. It's like, great, cool. So then we transition into where do you want to go? Now, one of the things that happens, and you can see the difference between like people who are new to sales and people who've been doing a little bit more. This part shouldn't feel like, oh, we're going into this part now, are we? It should feel just like we're having a conversation. So these timelines of when we're looking at 12 months versus like looking at, okay, what does life look like in 5 years' time? That depends on the kind of person that you're selling to, right? So, for example, with us, we work with 8-figure brands. So when an 8-figure brand is coming on a call, we're talking about like, so what's the next 10 years look like? And we're also going to say, so 12 months time, where do you want to be? What does that look like? What are you doing then that you're not doing right now? And that part's important. And at the same time, we're going to talk about, okay, let's fast forward 10 years. Like, that's what really gets me excited. Not just like what's going to happen today, but like 10 years time, like where's the vision? Where are we heading? And you notice the language patterns there. We're not saying, where are you heading? Where are we heading? We're already kind of pre-framing that and presupposing we're going to work together. And then it's more about the ambiguities of like whether we're going to accept you or not, right? So when I talk about like 10 years time, now if you've got someone who's kind of in a lower emotional state, then you may want to have them more just kind of like stick to the 12 months or maybe even 2 or 3 years, because that's as far as that person can see ahead. So if you say, oh, where do you want to be in the next decade? They're like, I was just thinking what I was going to have for breakfast this morning, right? It's just too far in the future. And then we want to look at two sides. So where do you want to be professionally? So what does a business look like? And then what will that allow you to do? So then that's the personal side. So you want to find out personally and professionally. These shouldn't be super scripted. You can feel it. You can feel that kind of like, okay, I'm going to read my next question now. We don't want that. We want to have a situation where it feels like just a general conversation and we're just going through the framework. That's all it is. We're following a framework, not a script. Scripts don't work, frameworks do. Let me rephrase that. Scripts don't work as well as frameworks do. Scripts can work, but if you want to make the maximum amount of revenue and bring on the right people, then the best way to do that is follow a framework. So once you've done the introduction, you find out where they want to go. Now you want to find out where are they right now. And the reason we do that is because if we just go straight into the pain first, it's like they're going to tell you a little bit of the pain when they tell you where they want to go anyway, right? If you're kind of like asking more questions after that. So how's that showing up for you? Like all those kind of things, right? Though where they are right now, then you're going to find out like what is the contrast? How wide is it from where they want to go to where they are right now? And then you want to find out also the level of awareness and how long they've been suffering with this. So if you go back to the doctor analogy, if you go into the doctors, they say, doctor, like I've got this rash all over my leg. It's like, oh, and what's one of the first things to say? How long have you had that? Right? So when we're talking about what's causing the pain and what is the current pain, we want to be diagnosing further. Okay, so how long have you guys been going through this? And how long has it been like that? Oh wow, that must be tough, right? Empathy, along with that. And then what we're doing is just guiding people through the sales journey and finding out what the current pain is and what's causing that pain. So from your unique perspective, what do you think is causing that pain? Again, you notice the language patterns is we're saying from your unique perspective. So it's just kind of, it's like, hey, let's just look from an opinion standpoint rather than like getting too hard into the facts part. But because the most important thing, it's not about what the actual problem is. It's not about what the actual pain is at that point. It's about what they think the pain is and how they think that is causing to occur. Because their pain is your pitch, right? So, and again, it's like, how's that showing up for you in business? How's that showing up for you personally, right? If you're doing business to business, how's it showing up in your daily life? Okay, great. What else? What else? What else? What else? Right? So you want to be finding and digging all the pain out and finding out exactly what that is. Then what's stopping you? So what have you tried before? Why didn't that work? Why can't you solve it on your own? Is this the only problem? Or is it another problem as well? And one of the key things here, why would you ask this question? Why not just go, okay, great. You told me where you want to go. I know your pain. Great. Here's our solution. Because this is like really like, you might as well just kill the whole sales process if you don't ask these part of the questions. Because what will happen is you're going to pitch something that they've already said that didn't work for us, right? So let's say, I don't know, you've got a media buying agency, right? So media buying agency comes in, they get on the pitch, and it's like, yeah, so what we're going to do is we're going to run all these CBO campaigns. It was like the last media buyers did that, and they absolutely wrecked the campaigns. I don't think it's going to be a good fit. Oh, wow, right? So what you want to be watching out for is landmines, right, and trigger words. So you don't you want to ask them where are the landmines? Where are the things that we don't say, right? Because it's not always about what you say; it's also about what you don't say. So once you find out what that is, you find out where they want to go, you find out what the pain is, you find out what is stopping them from getting there, and what are all the things that they've tried that haven't worked previously, so you don't go and mess up and say the same thing again. And then it's the do you want our help? So the do you want to help? Yeah, you can be as brazen as just say, so do you want some help solving this? And then usually they'll say something like, well, that's why I'm on the call. It's like, okay, great. The other part is like, so what do you want to do next? And a lot of the time I will say this before I even show anything about what we do. And they're like, well, I'd love to hear more about like how you can help. Okay, great. Then we show that stuff. See, it's very different when they're giving you permission to pitch rather than the other way around, because this is such a great transition question. So what do you think we should do next? And they're like, well, it'd be great if I could see more about like what you do and like whether you think you can help us. And great. So you do that, and then we can say why, or you can say how do you think this will solve the problem. So what you do is then when you're going through your pitch, remember the pain is the pitch, is you're going to take all the things that they said, like, you know, when you said this is how we solve this, without the thing that you tried in the past that doesn't work, right? So you can avoid mentioning things that haven't worked. However, you can also use those things that they said hadn't worked and then mentioning it in a, hey, yeah, we don't do that piece, or we do it differently, and this is why it didn't work in the past. And when you start communicating in absolutes, so kind of like, this is why it didn't work, right? That can create more divide rather than this is what we've seen typically is why that doesn't work. And we've seen a lot of people have that experience. Then all you're doing is you're becoming the reporter rather than creating potential conflict there. If you're like, this is why it doesn't work, they're like, well, we tried that as well, and that worked, and that didn't work, right? And then you've created conflicts rather than just like, this is what we're seeing. So when you get into the pitch part, that's what you want to do. And then it's like, I don't know, it's making sense to me. Is it making sense to you? And they go, well, how much is it? Right? And then you go through that part and you guide the people down that. Now, so that's the basis of the whole sales process. Now we've got to watch out for our eggs. Eggs in a basket. Putting all our eggs in one basket. And this is where most people lose the majority of their sales because they sell one product and they see sales as binary. They put all their eggs in that one basket and they'll go, great, we brought someone on to buy a high ticket program. Did they buy it? Yes or no? That's it. So what it looks like is like this, right? So the egg basket sales process, did they buy the high ticket? Yes, great, you made money. Did they not buy the high ticket? No, you didn't make any money. What we prefer to do is create this maximizing revenue sales process where did they buy the high ticket? Yes. Did they not buy the high ticket? Well, we sold them a mid ticket. We sold them a low ticket. We sold them an affiliate offer, right? So every person who gets on the call, there's a reason they got on the call in the first place. They didn't get on the call just to go, oh, I could do with a chat with someone, right? They got on the call because they want to buy something. They wanted to solve, well, they didn't want to buy something. They wanted to solve their problems. And if you've got the thing that can solve their problem, then great. And what you should have is levels of this. So you're either going to have like your high ticket or you're going to have a condensed down version of it. Maybe it's more of a DIY version, maybe the course only, right? Or maybe you've got a piece of that they just want to solve one specific piece. And great, you solve that piece first. And then maybe they ascend back up afterwards. Now, all these things mean you maximize revenue from your sales process because it does this, right? So if you think about it, the egg basket sales process, like all eggs in one basket, rates are going to be lower because it's either yes or no. Lifetime value is going to be lower because it's yes or no. And then profit is going to be lower, which means you can't scale as fast, you can't grow as fast, right? The maximizing revenue sales process, right? Eggs in multiple baskets. The conversion rates are higher because you've got more option for them to buy. One thing to note, you want to watch with the sales team that they don't just offer the lower ticket to make a sale, right? You want them to go for the high ticket, but if for some reason that is out of reach, like financially it's completely out of reach and you've gone through all payment options and everything like that, or they're just not a good fit for that product yet, then you want to have another option that they can go to. Lifetime value is going to be higher as well, right? Because you're making more from every single person that comes through, and then overall then your profit is higher, and if your profit is higher then you can scale your ads more, you can bring on A player talent, you can have more freedom, flexibility, all those things because you've added in basically monetizing all the ones that traditionally would have been no's and now yeses, which is amazing. So if you implement all those things together, you're going to make more. Just you will. There's probably at least one section out of the sales framework right now that you may be not using, and also if you're doing the egg basket sales process, you are also losing money right now. So if you would like 12 free trainings of my best trainings just like this one, then just comment below this and I can send them over to you. And I've got a free school community right now, and it has a bunch of free trainings, AI tools, templates, trainings, all the good stuff in there. So if you want all that for free, like there'll be a link in the description, or like just drop a comment and we'll sort you out and get that for you, because just want to give you as much value as possible so we can all make more money together, change the world and change more lives along the way. So have a fantastic day. Catch up with you soon.